What's going on, endurance peeps? So we're going to talk about strength training today, and we all have heard that it's important, but there's a lot of different ways to go about it, and it can be fairly complicated. In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how to program strength training for the endurance athlete. And stick around until the end so you can learn how to get a free strength training workout that you can put into your own strength training, courtesy of Reinforced Running. Okay, so we have all heard that strength training is important, but there are a lot of different ways to train for strength. And as an endurance athlete, it doesn't have to be complicated. And there are some principles that you can stand by that will get you the best results. And that's exactly what we're going to take you through in this video. But first, I want to kind of give you a general background of what strength training is and some of the language that's used when talking about gym-based workouts. So there's typically three different modalities in strength training. There's training for power, there's training for hypertrophy, which is muscle growth, and there's training for endurance. So power training is trying to engage in maximum muscle, and that is anywhere from that 1 to 5 rep range, lifting very heavy. Hypertrophy training is the process of putting on muscle, and that's anywhere from like the 8 to 12 to 15 rep range, lifting as heavy weight as possible in those specific weights. And then endurance training is anywhere from 15 plus, using lighter weights and just doing a lot of repetitions. And as an endurance athlete, you might think that endurance strength training is going to be the best bet for you when you hit the gym. And this is a really common mistake I see athletes make all the time. Because when you're working in that rep range, really what that's doing is setting up your muscular endurance to help with the specific type of training when you start to get into power or hypertrophy. So really it's not that beneficial for the endurance athlete, because most of the endurance we get is through our sport specific training. If we're doing running or OCR or cycling or swimming, that type of endurance will translate much better than doing light shoulder presses. So really that's more of like the base foundational phase for someone who was going into a traditional strength training block. So as an endurance athlete, leave that alone. Don't touch those light weights. Don't do heavy or high reps. You're really just wasting your time. And hypertrophy is the process of putting on muscle. And for most of us, we probably could get some benefit of added muscle. When you add muscle, you can then work that muscle for power and become a stronger athlete. But with anything, it's going to also add weight to you as you do run or you cycle, and that's not always advantageous. So there is a happy medium between there, but you shouldn't always train in that 8 to 15 rep range, because there is a purpose for it, and it's not typically going to help for your endurance performance as much. So it should be really specific based on your situation. If you need to add a little bit of muscle, then work in that hypertrophy zone. But for most of us, we just want the muscle that we have to work at its absolute highest rate. And that's where power training is going to come through, working in that 1 to 5 rep range, specifically more 3 to 5 rep range, because we don't want a 1 rep max that often as endurance athletes, because that might put us at a greater risk of injury. But we do want to lift as heavy as possible using big compound movements. And a compound movement is anything that uses multiple joints and multiple muscle groups. So thinking things of squats, bench press, pull-ups, lunges, deadlifts. These are really where you can lift the most amount of weight and have your body working as a system to create the most power as possible. And how this helps, it does help your running efficiency. It makes things easier. It increases your power output, so your power to weight ratio is increased, so therefore you can do more work with less energy. Plus, one thing that is huge when it comes to powerlifting is that you get a hormonal response from lifting such a heavy weight that is going to help you recover and get stronger. And that's when you lift a heavy weight, you're going to get a response to release more growth hormone and more testosterone. And these are anabolic agents that rebuild the muscle. And what's the best part is that it's not localized. So if you need to recover from your run and you lift heavy, you're going to get these recovery agents released into your system. So it's going to help you recover from the lift and also from your running. So that is in itself is a reason to lift heavy, so you can get that hormonal benefit. So when you go to the gym, you should want to get anywhere from 4 to 8 different exercises that you are looking to hit for a specific response. So the compound movement should always be at the top. And then once you do that one compound movement, you're probably good for the day, because it is exhausting and it is going to require the most amount of attention and focus. And you want to do it at the beginning of the workout for that same reason. You're going to be the most fresh, you're going to lift the heaviest weight, and starting off right with a compound movement when you're energized and ready is going to help get you a bigger bang for your buck. So that's where you should always start. The first workout should be something like a squat, lunge, or deadlift of every strength workout. And then from there is where the exceptions roll in when it comes to lifting for power. And that's when you're lifting for lateral movements and bilateral movements, and also trying to work on your balance. And that brings us to our second movement that I want you to focus on during your strength training sessions. As endurance athletes, we typically are moving forward, and we don't typically go side to side. So at the gym, it's important that you're using your side to side muscles. So doing exercises like curtsy lunges, side lunges, and banded side steps are really going to help engage in those muscles and help you create better balance. These should be in the higher rep range, as they are smaller muscles and you won't be able to lift as heavy. And if you do go heavy, moving in a different plane might put you at injury risk. So be somewhere in that 8 to 12 rep range when using the lateral movements. Then you want to focus on a bilateral exercise, which basically just means single leg. And a single leg exercise is going to be a little bit more sports specific when it comes to running and endurance. And it's also going to help create coordination and balance. So this could be anything like a box step up, or a reverse lunge, or a forward lunge, or anything that is just going to be on a single leg, like a single leg Romanian deadlift. So this is a great way to help give yourself better proprioception and help your balance as well as your coordination. And then interspersed throughout your strength workout, you should add core movements. And the core movements that you should focus on as an endurance athlete should be those like planks, side planks, hollow holds, and side plank leg lifts. And these movements, they're going to help get you the most solid foundation and really those deep core muscles that are going to help stabilize throughout the run. And less about the aesthetic that comes from a crunch or a bicycle crunch or a leg lift. So really working on the things that are going to help engage the most muscle in your deep abdominals as opposed to the surface level of them. So I did make a copy here just for you to kind of look at what this looks like in practice, so you can have an idea of when you go to the gym what it should look like. So here is a basic week. Typically I would have 2 quality sessions and 2 light sessions. The light sessions would probably only take 10 to 15 minutes, and just with the help with your movement practice and your recovery. But really we're looking at workout 2.1 and workout 2.2. And as we'll go through what we're seeing, so the main lift after the warm-up is going to be a heavy goblet squat, which is holding the weight in front of you so that it puts you in a better position and also helps stabilize that core. And from there, a front rack carry. A carry is a great core exercise that is also very functional. And then a single leg RDL. So right here we have a core workout with our bilateral movement. And then on the next one, it's side plank with leg lift. So this is a core movement as well as a lateral movement, because you're going to be hitting your hip adductors as they move up and down. And there's video examples, so you can check those out, look it up, and see what that looks like. And at the same time, the quadruped rock back, which is more of a core foundational movement. And at the end, we're doing more of the single leg, the bilateral movement, and doing the single leg glute bridge and iso hold, and then a hollow rock. So some core movements all the way throughout. And this is what's called supersets. And supersets is just taking 2 different movements and doing them back to back without rest. And usually you want those to be opposite movements so that you're not stressing something over and over. So doing something like bench press and push-ups, which are both chest, is not as advantageous as doing something like push-ups and a pull-up. Just different muscle groups there. And that is a typical look for what a workout should look like. So there is going to be 4 different working sets here, and that will probably take about 45 minutes all said and done. And after each one of the supersets, you want to rest about 60 seconds. The rest for your compound movement should be anywhere from 90 to 120. Since it should be heavy, it should take a lot out of you. And think of it as a fast rep when you're doing a like 400 or 200 workout. You almost want full recovery by the end of it so that you can hit it hard again. And then for the second workout of the week, the second quality session, you're going to start with an elevated back lunge. Elevated back lunge is when you're just going to sit on a plate or a box and step backwards to get a little bit more range of motion. So you want this to be heavy as well. This can be held in the front rack or down low, whatever you can get. Then you can do a standing arm press. So this is going to be an overhead press, which for runners is going to be more about core stability. And then ring row, which again is more about balance. So hitting that upper back to make sure that we are balancing everything out. So box step ups is again in that bilateral motion. That quadruped toe tap is going to be also a lateral motion and a core exercise, and then a movement exercise with the standing pelvic tilt. So this is a general look at what a week would look like for a strength training program for an endurance athlete. So if you like what you see, there's a link down right below where you can get your own strength training that you can put into your current endurance training. That's going to give you about 4 workouts that you can progressively overload each and every week. So it's about a month's worth of strength training for completely free. Just hit the link and have it sent directly to your inbox. And thanks for watching the video today. I hope there's some good takeaways for you. Hit subscribe, hit that bell so you get all the notifications so you can get the latest from reinforced running when it comes to nutrition, strength training, and endurance training. And I'll talk to you soon.